Cheers, everybody! Cheers! Welcome! Happy Friday! I hope y'all had a nice ass week! What a crazy day, a crazy week. Welcome, everybody. Bumping tonight. Let's get after it on a Friday night. You know? Holy shit!
All right, how we feeling?
Ready, let's do it, man.
All right.
Think I'm good?
Let's fucking go.
Let's go!
Let's fucking go. All right, 3, 2, 1. Thanks everyone for checking out the show. I'm Sean Fitzzzy.
I'm Paulie. I'm Bad Robot.
And this is the Echo Chamber. We're back after 2 weeks off, and it's just in time to see GME get hot again. Up 11% last week and looking strong. The MEWS are pumping too. Kitty isn't back yet, but Burry suddenly is. And the algo sure seems to like it. I'm not sure I do yet. We'll see, but how's it going, guys? Y'all doing good?
Doing all right. Doing good.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I don't know. The Burry stuff's cool. We'll talk about it. As a seasoned GME vet, we've been hurt before, so. But it's exciting.
You're always ready to be hurt again, though, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. Yes. I'm willing. Yeah. I YOLO'd on Friday just for the chance to be hurt again. So we'll see. You know, I'm sure we'll get to it, but I liked that when he said something about GME, we got that volume candle. That was real interesting.
Mm-hmm. He's a very popular guy.
Yeah.
There are very few people on Earth that Christian Bale has played in a movie.
It's true. I hadn't thought of it that way. It's interesting.
Yeah. Short list. Yeah.
So do we rate people based on whether or not, if Christian Bale has played them, they're high on the list of people?
Hell yeah, man. Yes.
I mean,
yes.
Batman's pretty cool.
That's a fair scale. Yeah, it's a good scale. I mean, it's not the scale. I'm not saying it's some ideological, epitome, but it's a scale. I would love for Christian Bale to even think about playing me in a movie.
Yeah,
that's how you know you made it.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was a good movie. I need to rewatch it.
Whimsy aside, he's more popular than Ryan Cohen, RK combined. All of and he has the attention all of the finance world. He popped up a few weeks ago and pretty much accelerated the multiple compression we're seeing in the AI space. Pretty much, all these valuations are correcting through a bet he made that was misrepresented by the media, but it still worked because even if it's not a bubble, the valuations have been crazy in that world. And so everyone's been paying attention to him. Just everybody in the finance world, everybody in politics. There's Burry's back. What's happening? Our stock markets, right? And all of a sudden he starts talking about GameStop. People have eyes. People have eyes. Yeah. We have a lot of eyes on it right now for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We got
so the candle makes sense. Long-winded way of saying that candle makes sense. That there was some reaction in the stock.
Based on a comment in a Substack, I believe, right? Or was it a like on a comment in a Substack? I'm not sure what exactly happened at that moment at 8:20 or 11:20 East Coast, but that was 366,000 shares that hit all at once. That's an algo move for sure. That's him getting the kitty treatment. And, I know he's more popular, but when it comes to GameStop, and, I'm isolated, right? I think no one's cooler than Ryan Cohen and Roaring Kitty. Burry has 1.6 million followers or something like that. He's got more than Kitty.
Right.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. It's good. All right. Paulie, how have you been? It's been we haven't been here in 2 weeks. We recorded a meme movie episode last weekend with Swami that is now in the archives that hasn't been posted yet. I'm about halfway through editing. I got smoked. at work.
I know you had a rough week, but you made it. So
Yeah, woo!
glad that you're here. So yeah, no, I've had a good week. Had my mom over for dinner today, and my dad's in Chicago for work, but today's actually my birthday. So
happy birthday!
Oh yeah, thanks.
Happy
I
birthday,
probably
man.
should have. Maybe I did. Happy birthday!
No,
Woo!
it's all right. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so we had my mom over for dinner, and open some gifts. And
how's she feeling? Good.
Yeah. She's doing a lot better after her salmonella scare in the hospital a few weeks ago. Yeah, much better now. So
that's great.
Nice. Good.
Yeah, that's good. Thanks for asking. But we also had like a fairly decent snowstorm yesterday, but only about like 6 inches of 6 inches of snow, which for anyone who lives in a cold climate, that probably doesn't sound like a ton of snow.
Yeah,
but we had a lot of wind with it. So, when we woke up, it had all gotten pushed around and everything. So in some areas on our property, there was almost no snow. And then in some areas, there was like 4 feet of snow. So
yeah, I like the pictures.
Long. Yeah, all day long, we basically had people around us, like driving tractors and pushing snow around and everything. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah, I think it is. It's fun. I saw other people posting about their cold weather in the Discord, and I'm like, so this is where we are with our cold weather. My daughter said, "Dad, look," and blew out her breath. And that was like, we're all like, whoa,
right.
It's so cold. Yeah, that's our experience in Northern California. It gets, it's like 45 and chilly. I got heaters on, but yeah, that looks crazy, bro. You're enduring. Good job.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, we went to a couple of different noon basketball games this week. We had one on Wednesday for our women's basketball team, and then one on Friday for our men's basketball team. And that was after I had already been to GameStop on Friday.
Black Friday.
It was Black Friday. So we were there when they opened at 6 a.m. People were lined up outside of the mall when it opened at 6 a.m. It's 23 degrees. That's Fahrenheit for all you people who are in other parts of the world. So someone in our Discord asked, "What's that in English?" And I was like, 23 degrees Fahrenheit. But no, that's like minus, I don't know, 7. I ended up doing the math for them and a bunch of things that weren't even Celsius. I gave them like Rankine and Kelvin and a bunch of other things, just to be a jerk.
That's fucking cold. Any way you cut it, that's cold. But yeah. So
no, it's good. Yeah, a lot of folks were there at GameStop to get the new Moltres Ultra Premium Collection box. Yeah, that one was popular. I think every single person in line in front of me was there for that. So I was actually the first person in the store to buy a power pack, which was funny.
Wow.
Yeah. So even with the golden tickets that they had put in there, everybody was still there for the UPC. So thought that was very interesting. So, GameStop had people lined up outside the store for all sorts of reasons. So had people buying the Team Rocket UPC. Some people were still buying the Charizard UPC, which was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the one that they got a lot of criticism for because it was priced higher. But I mean, they're still selling through it. Like they're not going to,
even Target was selling them for $200 now.
Yeah. Like they're not going to sit on the shelf for months. Like the difference is they don't sell out in a single day. But they're not going to sit on the inventory for months. But they're not selling through it in a single day. Most of
the stores around me are sold through pretty much everything.
Yeah.
So, well, let's get back to the. Yeah, I was gonna say let's get back to the cards.
I was just going to say the cool thing was like because I live in a college town and this was Thanksgiving week, there wasn't a ton of competition for all of that stuff. So even though I was there when it opened, to stand in line for the power pack and everything, I was still able to go back on Saturday and buy another Power Pack, which is going to go to the UK for Normie Norms.
Nice.
And yeah, because she was like, "Man, I really want one. If anybody can get me one," I was like, "Yeah, if they're not sold out, I'll go get you one." And like I went back, and they still had like 9 sitting on the counter. So
Nice.
so I was like, "Sure," So great thing about college students being out of town, I didn't have any competition for that. And
Nice.
I mean, ours is the only GameStop within like 60 miles. So
Nice.
Yeah. So
Cool.
That was fun.
Yeah. Bad Robot. It's been forever. How have you been, dude? Things been going good?
Yeah, man, I've been good. Had a good week off. Spent a lot of time with the holidays, with the families. With my family. Had a lot
Yeah.
of time
Happy Thanksgiving,
to.
everyone, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Happy Thanksgiving. Exactly. Yeah, had a lot of time to kind of reflect, or think about earnings, etc. And I was just thinking about earlier today how this year has markedly been different from pretty much. I've been an investor since March or April 2021. No other year I haven't seen this pattern that we've seen pretty much every quarter this year in 2025, where and it's funny. It's just we come on, we record the pod. It's pretty much the earnings pod. When we record, we always say, "Oh my God, there's so much going on. Like every 1 to 3 days, something big is happening. Like whether it's marketing at the core business, or with an investment, or with an interview, right? And that's not accidental, and it's not just the marketing team." From not just Toast and the marketing team over there, it's the PR team as well over at GameStop, setting a lot of things up. And we haven't really had that, from 2021 onward. We haven't really had that, but this year, every quarter, we've had this, and just like in the last 2 weeks, like it was the National Trade-in Day for December 6th was announced. That made that was on like Fox News.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
yeah. And then the golden ticket, the Lunar Packs, and then Burry started tweeting about it, and then all the Nintendo games coming out. So there's just been every day has been something. So it's been fun. That was fun too. Just the holiday week, just being like, whoa, that's cool, and being able to just pay attention to it.
Yeah, I talk shit about Thanksgiving week, at least with the chart, but I was proven wrong this year. It was a good week on the chart, and it seems like it was an awesome week for GameStop. So, okay, so let's just go into the shop GameStop segment. I really just wanted to have a spot to drop my whatever sounder I put in here. I'm trying to make like a new commercial.
Here we go. Toast, press your button, mate. Press it.
Either get the W's ready or get the skull emojis ready, chat. I'm buying it. I bought it, chat. It's happening. Ah, it's happening, chat!
English. Pikachu Chinese in a 10.
Here we go! Oh, no.
Oh, my God. We've been floored twice.
Oh, no. It's a 6.
We've been floored twice, Normie.
We hit! Let's go! Yes!
Normie and I have been floored twice.
Oh, my God. We made money, baby!
And guys, are they taking the piss? It's another Pikachu card. Look, that's actually funny. That's actually funny. Look.
And then we talk about GameStop. So, no, yeah. So, yeah, shop GameStop. I think it's an important part of all, what we all do in the community. So, I want to make sure we spend some time talking about it. I thought that was really awesome. What you were just bringing up, the trade in everything. What day is that now? That's the
December 6th.
Yeah.
December 6th. All right. Yep. And then, so yeah. Also, Polly, yeah, we're pretty close. My birthday is the 7th. So you're not a Sagittarius, so are you?
Yeah. I am. Yeah. And
are
December
you?
7th, so December 7th was actually my original due date, but I came, I was born a week early. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Pearl Harbor Day. That's me. A day that
That's
will
exactly
live in
right.
infamy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. So that one caused, and you know, a lot of this stuff is causing controversy. I'll say that in air quotes, but this one definitely did amongst the employees. I'll say that in air quotes too, because I don't believe that most of the people on that GameStop employees subreddit is an employee. I think most of them are meltdowners. But yeah, all kinds of complaints about they're going to have to quit over bodily fluids being. They're going to be forced to do all kinds of shit they don't want to do. I replied on one of them. Thanks for helping promote this day, because it was awesome. I heard it on the local radio out here, like you know, nothing, Sacramento radio station talking about GameStop Trade Anything Day. That's pretty good. Pretty good marketing.
Yeah,
so.
man. And that one was, you know, they hit all, it wasn't just the social channels. So they hit the radios, they hit the TV airwaves. You know, I saw it in some weird places, and obviously I am, you know, the algorithm has me recognized in that bucket. So I'm not a good example, but I saw it in some, I saw it far and wide, and yeah, it's it mostly for charity. You know, they're limiting it to one weird trade-in per person, pretty much.
Right.
One trade-in per person. It's $5 credit. They get a $5 store credit, and I forget what the exact thing is, but what's the charity component of it, Paulie?
They're like, if GameStop cannot immediately use that for their own purposes, then they're just going to immediately turn around and donate it.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. And what they did was they asked each store and region like managers to work with the stores to find local charities that the employees like, and GameStop's arranging just at the end of the day or the next day for pickups, etc., for those to be delivered to those charities. So it's, you know, GameStop's not going to be like selling weird stuff on their website. You know, they're really doing it just for kind of like a holiday toy drive, but with the added incentive of getting people in the store, getting them some store credit, obviously the nationwide marketing. So it's, you know, I think win-win-win.
Yeah. I'm excited.
I mean, it's the idea, like you give people $5 worth of store credit to get them in the door and bring something in to, you know, that could potentially be donated to some good cause. And, you know, there's probably going to be some weird and otherwise worthless things that are brought in for this, but who knows? Some things that are worth markedly more than $5 and will end up going to good causes will probably end up being brought in for this purpose. Yeah. And
the weird stuff is probably really cool. A part of the plan.
I'm sure it will be. Plan. Like both of those things will end up making for good stories that will have probably exponentially useful social media impact. So yeah. And then on top of that, you figure if for every $5 in store credit that they give out, you know, how much is going to get spent by your average person who comes in.
Right.
So
$5 ain't nothing.
20 to 30.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Like you put $5 on your balance sheet as a liability, but then when someone comes back in and spends that $5, they are not going to spend just $5. Right.
No.
So like your average person is going to spend at least probably 15 to 20.
Yeah.
If
not more. I mean, shit. Most things. I mean, they might get some cards, but yeah. Who knows?
But you know, it's worth saying in terms of Shop GameStop. You know, I was just picking up some cards the other day. There are a lot of things under $5. There are like those Naruto packs I got, Paulie. Those are $4 each.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah, so some people may go in with the express purpose of trying to only use that $5 credit, and that's totally fine. Like more
create a customer. You know, that's a customer acquisition cost right there. You know,
yeah, which is honestly extremely low in terms of CAC.
Definitely.
Yeah, like a $5 customer acquisition cost is really good,
especially on the collectible side, right? Because the collectible side, the lifetime value of a customer is pretty big. You know, like people continuously shop from the graded marketplace as well as in store. If you're into collectibles, and if you get into collectibles, also through gaming, your lifetime value isn't small. Even if you're buying a lot of games online, you're still like probably buying accessories, etc. Something. It's less, but so definitely low customer acquisition costs there.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I think the marketing's great around it. I'm looking forward to it. So we got that. So we had PowerPacks 4. That came out. Paul, you were talking about it a bit. So you didn't get a golden ticket, right?
I did not.
Damn.
No.
Damn, I saw one.
But,
There's only
a local store. One of the 2 local stores near me got one.
Oh yeah,
that's true. Yeah.
Yep.
That's
I don't go into that one as much because they don't do grading, but they had the boxes and somebody got one there.
That's pretty slick. That's so they did that for Black Friday, and that's just I think the Power Pack boxes are doing really well. RC was talking about them a little bit in that interview. And I'll just bring this up now about that interview. I don't know who posted it in the Discord, but apparently the people who did the interview just reposted the question of asking about Roaring Kitty. So maybe I'll add that.
Oh yeah,
here.
that's right. I saw that.
But that's interesting.
Oh,
Tonight they just
TBPN.
That is interesting.
Yeah,
it is interesting.
That's funny.
They just reposted the whole thing. So, anyways, that's not the whole. Yeah, just that little ending segment. So.
Question: What's your relationship like with Roaring Kitty? You guys talk much?
Ask him.
Okay. Yeah, we'd love to have him on the show. Maybe we'll
get him on the show.
That'd be a lot of fun. He's we're pretty new to the live streaming thing. I always enjoy talking to people who operate in the same medium, and so I'm sure we'll have a good conversation.
Yeah, we don't want day traders. We want. Yeah. I'll have a conversation with him if he's focused on decades and centuries, not on making a quick buck.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, so no, he likes the PowerPacks physical versus the digital. I think it's really cool. So what did they get? They got a full Pokemon set. Is that what they got?
They get basically every quarterly release for 2026 of all of the Pokemon SKUs. More or less.
Fucking cool.
Yeah.
And
for some quarters, it's by like there's 2 drops in one quarter, so you're gonna get like 6 to 8. You're gonna get everything, and it's not just you don't just get one item from the release. You get the booster box, the booster bundle, the ETB, the other bundle. You get the entire drop.
Yeah,
nice.
It's pretty significant. Like they're getting several $100s worth of stuff every quarter.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's cool. And they got the Power Pack, which I think is fun. I actually want to go get one of those. You won't catch me waiting for most things, but I like the box. It's got Buck on it. I think that's pretty slick. Yeah. It just looks cool. It might be the first way I get my first slab, my actual own slab. I have slabs. I have say about 8 now in my vault.
Nice.
I've been playing Power Packs a little bit and trying to save some good ones. I couldn't tell you what they were right now, but like 1 or 2 a week. But it's fun. Anyways, speaking of Power Packs, I want to bring up that they just announced their Lunar tickets, and that's coming out tomorrow, Monday, right?
Yeah, just for Pokemon.
Yep.
Just for Pokemon. And I say so tonight. It is Sunday night. We have not been here for over 2 weeks. It's about 8:41 on the East Coast. Hopefully, we'll have the show out by end of day tomorrow.
Which means it's 7:41 in Grapevine, Texas, right now.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
I just did a little salute to RC. So they're doing them. Bartok has announced. He said challenge accepted. So good job, Bartok.
I figured he would be all over it.
Yeah. So I think Chef was in the Discord. Who's that? I said that's our Power Pack whale right there.
Yeah,
that's who that is. So he'll be doing that. I'm excited to see. I gotta imagine they'll have some bangers in there. I gotta imagine they'll have them pretty quickly. I mean, is there a total amount that they're selling? It looked like there's legit numbers on how many there's going to be and everything. Have you guys seen any of that?
No, there isn't a total amount.
I haven't seen the numbers yet, but yeah, I don't know if they publish those.
Yeah, I don't. they're not going to publish them. But in terms of Black Friday, I was just looking at some numbers earlier today. They beat last year. They're like up 9 to 11% over last year for Black Friday. Just for Friday sales. And Friday sales was like 9.5 billion. And then they were on Saturday and Sunday, they were expecting 5.5 for both of those days each. But then Monday, for Cyber Monday, which is tomorrow, they're expecting 14 plus billion in sales. So Cyber Monday is the biggest actual day of this 4-day stretch. That's really important.
Like on a macro scale for not just GameStop.
Just GameStop, just GameStop, but it is important. The reason I'm noting that, and it'll come up later in our conversation, I'm sure. But GameStop, prior to this kind of restructure and shrinking of the physical footprint, we were probably 60 to 70%, actually more, probably like 70 to 80% physical and 20% online. But now we're probably closer to like 35 to 40% online, and the rest physical. If not, I don't know. I'm just making those numbers up, but it's changed. Obviously, that's Ryan's whole expertise, right? It's the board's expertise. That's been their stated goal. But it's a good point, just because Cyber Monday tomorrow, those sales also have the highest margin, just because they're all online. And so, big day tomorrow to shop GameStop.
Nice. Yeah, maybe I'll do some shopping. I could use a couple of things. I have a gift card too, so we'll see. Maybe I'll go out there and get something. Well, I guess you got to do it online. You can't go out there. Cyber Monday is probably a good day for the employees. They probably like that day.
Yes. Yeah.
And sales numbers are up for me too, and it's a lot of people, not everyone, but it feels like maybe things are going good out there in the world when it comes to retail. I'll read what Bartuk. Am I saying that wrong, guys?
Bartuk.
Sorry, Rich. Bartuk. I've been saying it wrong. So here's what he wrote when we were talking about it in the Discord. The real question is what $40,000 card will be in there for the chases. He said floor hit will be $1,250 to $1,875, $1,875 to $2,500, $2,500 to $5,000, $5,000 to $10,000, $10,000 to $20,000, then $20,000 to $40,000. So, I wonder how many there's going to do. That'll be fun. I want to watch that. I just want. I know it's a lot of money. Aaron, it would be dope if Aaron can get that streaming too. That would be fun if he could get someone on there. Interesting. I don't know. I want to watch that.
No, those $2,500 packs, just a great, it's like the cherry on top for Cyber Monday for GameStop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's pretty fun. Okay. In terms of Pokemon and shopping, I saw something that I thought was pretty interesting. I wanted to bring up the Kabuto King. Have you guys seen anything about that?
Oh, yeah. We've been following him.
That's fun. So he's just, and this is kind of just not even that rare of a card, right? Like it's just pretty standard.
Well, it
Kabuto.
is now. It is now.
Yeah.
It is now. It's up to like $30 this evening. I was just looking at it. It's like $28 to $30. Oh, nice, Paulie. Nice.
Yeah, he's got one. Yeah, he does.
Yeah, that's a first edition. Yep.
I've got a few of them, and I've basically told Kabuto King that I have bad news for him unless he's got a lead on a 1999 base set Charizard, because I know what I've got.
Yeah.
And,
Nice.
And I also know what I don't got, right? And
Paulie, I just saw a PSA 10 first edition Kabuto sell for $800 on eBay.
I saw that. Yeah.
That's crazy. The Kabuto craze. So they were just $10 just a couple days ago when I first came across it. So maybe it was like less than a week ago.
Nice.
So now it's $30. He's just
25 to 30 now on TCG Player.
Yeah. The Kabuto squeeze is officially on.
That's so cool.
He's in the market.
Yep. He really is, and that's pretty awesome.
Editions.
But then what's he gonna do? Is he gonna just fucking torch them all? Like literally burn them?
Honestly, I think that may be the move, because if he sells them, it'll be a problem, right? But I think that he may actually physically burn some of them.
Yeah, just think about NFTs and all that,
cool.
and they talk about the coins, and you burn the coins,
and that actually would be a pretty king move to destroy some of the population.
That's kind of interesting.
And I mean, that's what you do in cryptocurrency if you want to preserve the value of a token, right? Like you say, you literally send tokens to a burn wallet. So
yeah.
All right.
So yeah, all this was going down, right? Like GameStop's announcing golden ticket, this, that, trade in, and that's not even mentioning, the Pokemon drops that were happening, because Q4 has been really busy, right? So with our products. So there've been Pokemon drops every week, every other week. And then, when Nintendo games come out, it's a really big deal, because Nintendo by far I'll get into the data later, but they by far sell the most physical games through GameStop, compared to Sony and Xbox. So, all that stuff's going on. The trade-in day, all these announcements are going on. Then Burry starts tweeting, and people are like, oh, he's just reflecting. And then he's like, starts to like all these comments and about people basically saying, hey, are you going to buy in, or etc. Like, you should go long. And it's multiple, first it was one, then now it's I think up to 3 comments.
So let's just do the Burry stuff right here.
Then, and then he goes, himself, he says, I have an idea for what they should do next. I'm paraphrasing. Yeah. When Burry says that, that's pretty serious, man. Given the context, we talked about who he is and his background earlier in the show. He doesn't just say that kind of stuff for fun, and he wouldn't leave something like that just open ended, just like, oh, whoopsie, never mind. I'll catch, So he's planning something. Obviously, that means he's going to make a formal communication to the board of GameStop. It's that simple.
Wow, hold on. Like, there's a chance that he's just pumping his Substack, right? Like, there is that chance, isn't there? No? Why not? Like, because he's not.
Listen, his Substack, dude. His Substack. There's like, people were first of all like over reporting on this. They're like, oh, he's got 10,000 subscribers times 329. But the reality is, you can subscribe for free, and only under 5% of those subscribers are paid subscribers. Right. And, this guy's worth multiple hundreds of millions of dollars. So like, setting up a $300,000 to $400,000 a year thing, cool. I mean, that's awesome. But he stated recently in an article, he kind of expanded on why he shut down Scion. It wasn't to start a Substack. He said he wants to trade more freely, and he wants to be able to talk about what he's trading about. His own words, right, Paul?
Yeah, he's basically going back to his roots, and he's kind of talking about that in his initial articles on Substack, because he's getting very nostalgic about how he got into trading in the first place, because he was a medical resident in the 90s, and
that's right.
swimming in debt. He had inherited some money. There was a wrongful death lawsuit, and he invested the proceeds from that wrongful death lawsuit. And he said, if I had used that money to pay off my debt from medical school instead of investing, then I would probably still be practicing medicine today.
So he's like a real doctor. I don't know that much about that.
He's an MD. Yeah, he's an MD doctor.
Well, he dropped out. Yeah, he dropped out for a little bit, and then he started trading. And I don't know if it was then, Paulie, but he started this website called like valuestocks.com.
Valuestocks.net.
Valuestocks.net. But then he went back to school, and then finished his degree, and after that he put that inheritance he got and some other money he had, all of it into it, and started trading full time, and set up Scion shortly after that.
Right.
And so he, this interview he gave, and he wrote about it, or he was quoted, he's basically saying that, like, look, like, being a fund manager is fun, but you're very restricted. You have to disclose everything. You can only hint at kind of what you're thinking or even seeing at the market. So I just didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted to go back to my roots, go back to Cassandra, as Warren Buffett famously called him in Senate or in Congress. And he said it himself. He wants to talk about what he's seeing. He wants to talk about what he's doing as he's doing it. So, given this context, given who he is a guy, again, that Christian Bale played in the movie, when he says, I have an idea for what they should do next. That's not an open-ended, let me get some GME apes to subscribe. He's not.
Well, okay.
He's
so
not at that level.
Let's go over what has actually been said. So on November 26th, he said, "Remember GME? Bet you did not know this." And then he showed a sign asset management letter. This is all really cool shit, by the way. This is
really
all
cool
really
shit.
Cool.
Really cool shit. Yeah.
Talking about, I think, is that the letter where he's talking about wanting a share buyback out of the GameStop? But then he showed
it's his open letter to the board.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then he showed an email from Roaring Kitty Keith Gill to Mr. Burry and the board, right? And he thanked them.
No, not the board. Not the board.
Just to Burry.
Okay, and his team.
And by the way, Burry's letter.
Burry and his team, yeah.
Burry's letter was already previously public, but these two emails, the one from Roaring Kitty and the other one from Ryan Cohen in 2019, those were previously not public.
Exactly.
So those were that was a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, the open letter from Scion was public.
Right.
Yeah, but not the Roaring Kitty one, which was crazy. Well, and not crazy, but just fun to see. I don't know. That's cool shit. I love all that inside stuff, especially when it comes to Kitty and RC. And then the next morning, so this is Thanksgiving Day, the 27th, or Mafa Day. 27th.
Hey, before we move on from that, by the way, in that on those circles and on that level, you don't necessarily share personal, because those are personal emails. He sent that directly to the doc, and Ryan sent that directly to the doc asking for a personal call. So you don't reveal that without being like, "Hey, bud." Just FYI.
So the next day, RC he shows that email from RC. I'll just read it because it's real quick. Hope this message finds you well. This is from Ryan Cohen to Burry. Hope this message finds you well. My name is Ryan Cohen, and I'm the founder and former CEO of Chewy. It's just funny to hear him saying it like that.
Of Chewy, in brackets, Chewy.com.
Yeah, like
that may have just been an artifact of how email clients formatted email back in 2019.
Okay.
Just want to throw that out there.
All right. Yeah, and he goes, I am also a large holder of GameStop and have enjoyed hearing your thoughts in recent interviews. I'd love to jump on a call to talk about the company with you. So that email, I think, was sent October 4th, 2019.
It was.
Yes. So
then he forwarded it somewhere on September 24th, 2021, which was right around the time that he was getting subpoenaed.
Yeah. So that is the earliest we know of Ryan Cohen having GameStop shares, by the way, because all we have seen is the filing in August 2020. So that's almost a full year.
In terms of any concrete timeline, yes, but we did know that he owned shares in 2019. We just don't know how much.
Right.
Because he's talked about it. Like, he's mentioned that he started buying shares as early as 2019. We just don't know to what extent.
Yeah. So that was cool. And so Friday we got that one candle for whatever happened. And that was the only other time, right, that he's, I think, well, today he said something about GameStop as well, but he liked what happened Friday when that thing came out. He liked a comment, I think, about somebody asking if he would talk about GameStop. Do you guys know exactly what it was or not?
Yeah, Paulie, this is the one you posted about.
Somebody said, let me find
somebody
it.
said, I think this is, I think, thank you. Somebody said, thank you, Dr. Michael Burry. Are you still planning to post something Sunday as well? Also, would love to have you back on the long side of GameStop. I think this is one of the most iconic value plays out there and uniquely positioned to be a monumental trade, just like your other incredible investment thesis.
That one was actually from Saturday night. But the one we're talking about from Friday, let me find, was from actually Thanksgiving. Someone said, time to open a GME position, brother. And,
that's right.
And Michael Burry liked that.
And we pumped. That's
yeah. So that one actually was a that was activity that happened while the market was closed, but yeah,
well, I think the like happened, or the information came out at 8:20 that he liked it.
Probably, yeah. So I mean that kind of hit X, over the course of Thanksgiving day and night, I think, and yeah. So.
Well, no, the like happened Friday. I'm like almost positive that when he liked that comment, that's when we pumped. I'm gonna have to find it, but either way, and then
dates here,
and then today, I forget the one you were reading, Bad Robot, was today.
No, it was before that, because I have a post on my timeline from 12:20 p.m. on Thursday of the screenshot of showing him at 9:16. I don't know what time zone this was in, but someone's phone showing Michael Burry and Stanley liked your note. Time to open a GME position, brother. So,
I want to know what.
Yeah, that was at 12:20 p.m. was when that screenshot was posted on Thanksgiving Day. So,
yeah. All right.
So I mean, we opened Thursday night, just up, So
yeah,
it wasn't related to that comment. But I mean, he posted the Remember GME stuff at 12:01 a.m. on Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's right.
So
that's right.
And 12:01 is Monday. So, that's fun. So
yeah, I like that.
It's kind of weird, isn't it? Isn't it kind of weird, Paulie, how just the language he's using? Because he was like, I'm going to drop it Sunday night. And then all of a sudden he's saying, I'm going to drop it in December.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm going to drop it in December. That's kind of vague. Yeah. You're going to drop it tonight, but then now it's in December. Do you mean like during market hours, but you don't want to really say that out loud?
Still be Sunday night, maybe. I don't know.
Could still be Sunday night, or could
be Sunday night into Monday morning. I don't know.
It could be Monday during market hours if he's under 5% owner of any company. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I mean, like all this Burry stuff is just highly, highly fascinating to me, and it's just funny too, because like there's so many people out there who are like, oh, Burry's washed out, whatever. Like, no, Burry is one of the smartest people in the markets, and while people may dismiss his opinions because he has, called for crashes or whatever in the past, and that this is a highly irregular departure from any of that, and not only that, it's a deep coincidence and confluence with everything that Roaring Kitty had on his timeline over the last several years, right? So,
right.
I think this, at a minimum, warrants attention, right?
Yes.
It doesn't mean that anybody should be making financial decisions on it, but it absolutely means people should be paying attention.
Oh, for sure. Yes. I found what it was. It was
okay.
GME. This is from Greg Benitez. your recent tweet was interesting. Are you buying back in? And then he replied, I am in the process of creating a post to tell the whole GME story.
That one was really interesting. Yeah,
Go.
that post, that
Let's
comment from him
fucking
did
go.
happen on Friday during market hours, if I remember right.
That was my algo pump one that gave me like, oh, this is given the kitty treatment. I knew because it was just the volume was crazy.
Yeah.
So I hear you guys and I hear what you're saying, but I will just say that like saying something and then teasing it and then changing the time and then moving it along is also what people might do when they're just trying to like string along. And I say this as a person who's seen like Pleaser DAO do this to us. We've seen Atari do this. I feel like we might have seen Treehouse Brewery do this to us.
Okay, but to the contrary, do you know who else we've seen do this? That actually knows what happens in the markets is Roaring Kitty.
Yeah, right? You're right. All right.
Like he'll start an interview late. Why? We don't know. He'll disappear for years. Why? We don't know. Right?
He'll start stream 28 minutes late.
Remember, the email that Burry revealed from Kitty to him, to me, really utmost, we already heard Kitty talk about Burry in his videos, but really solidified the reverence and just like general respect he has for Burry and how he looked up to him, right? So listen, I'm not really trying to contrary what you're saying. I'm always cautious when anybody's, as you know, we all get it.
No, I think this is a good conversation. That's why I think as a GME,
listen, he's a serious guy. He's a serious guy, and he's a dangerous guy. He knows what he's doing. Okay, so that's why when he says, something like, "Oh, I'll drop something Sunday," but then says, "I will vaguely drop it in December." Now, to me, in my brain, intuitively goes to he wants to drop it during market hours, some random day, because he already knows. Like if this thing that happened on Friday, if and we're like, "Yo, did you see that? Did you see the stock move from Burry?" Saying that he knows. Are you kidding me? He has Asperger's. He's known for like just compressing teraflops of data in minutes into his brain.
Well,
so
that's what I think, and that's what I think we think what Kitty was doing with a lot of these tweets is, especially like he's testing the algo. So what you were saying, Paulie, that I thought was at 820. That pumped us into Friday, like you were saying. That hit in pre-market. Was it midnight? Either way, whatever. We don't need to get into it. But I'm just saying, like, those are the things Kitty would do. He would tweet at the very beginning of overnight trading on Sunday night or after like a holiday, and that that was like a test of the algo. Something midday, and Burry saw a reaction that way. So if the algo respects it, I got to respect that too. And the other great thing you said is that Kitty loves the guy. If you just go back to Roaring Kitty's 2020 stuff, he has reverence for the man. He respects him, and he was a big part of, I think, Kitty's original thesis when it came to GameStop. And in terms,
and hey, so does Ryan Cohen, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, hey, Mr. Burry, this is fun. That's our billionaire right there. Yeah, and in terms of requel stuff,
oh my God, he's making a requel. A what? Remember the Stab movie that came out last year? Oh yeah! The hardcore Stab fans hated it. You go on 4chan and Reddit. All they're talking about is how Stab 8 pissed on their childhood, how they crammed in social commentary just to make it elevated, how the main character is a Mary Sue.
What's a Mary Sue?
You really don't want to know.
What's wrong with elevated horror? That's not Stab. Real Stab movies are meta slasher whodunit. Come on, it's just a movie.
Tinfoil or not, getting the band back together. There's a lot of references to that in the meme movie.
Mm-hmm.
Just like old. So I think I could see that would be some fun stuff if Burry was the like catalyst of just kicking this thing off in 2025, 2026. I don't know if there's a plan. I'm just cautious, like I've been saying. Like I would like to see something about like a position would be dope. I don't want to necessarily help promote a Substack, so I'm trying to be a little cautious on that regard too when it comes about posting about it on X. Just don't want to fall into some of the same old traps. But this is exciting. I'm pretty fired up about it, especially because of the algo. That's the kind of thing like that tells me something's coming. We'll take a quick break, I think, and then we'll get into the weekend review and then do and then do earnings on deck because we got a lot. We got earnings got announced for Tuesday next week, right? A week from Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 9th.
Yep. December 9th.
Yep.
Yeah, exciting. All right, cool. Give me 2 minutes, guys, and we'll come back and get into the rest of the stuff.
Cheers, everybody! Cheers! Welcome! Happy Friday! I hope y'all had a nice ass week! What a crazy day, a crazy week. Welcome, everybody. Bumping tonight. Let's get after it on a Friday night. You know, let's go! Holy shit. Oh, can I, is there even, let me try to read this. Let me try. Whoa. Oh, damn, what a day. A historic day today, no doubt. This is gigantic. Welcome, everybody. Crushing it tonight. Cheers. For the those who have been, for the many of us who have been long and bullish on GameStop for a while, what an exciting day today was, right? I mean, a 50% move on a stock like that many of us are dialed into. You just don't see that very often. So what an incredible day. Epic day. Just huge. Soon may the Tendy Man come. Y'all know? You already know. Let me just start. Let me just dip. I gotta just dip. Let me just dip. Just one dip. Just one quick dip. Tendies came today. Ain't no doubt about it, right? Any question? What is there even to talk about? I didn't even bother open up a whole bunch of tabs. There's not even too much to talk about today, right? We pretty much know what we're going to talk about with the different topics we're going to cover. Number one is the price action. Let's start with the price action. This is bullish, right? Up 50%, up to $65. What's that market cap? $4.5 billion. It's been a huge run up, gigantic run up, right? This is incredible. A move like this in a stock. I got some charts up here, right? Look at this shit. What is this? This is 6 months. This is a 6-month chart, right? Up from $4, those low fours, all the way up to 65. It's just been incredible, right? And there's been no major news out of the company. That's what's kind of disgusting about this move, is that we haven't even heard much out of the company yet, right? The only news we got from them was, of course, we got the holiday results last week, and the big news was Ryan Cohen and his crew joining the board. And like we said, when that happened, right, not much happened those couple of days. It was up a little bit, then it cranked last Wednesday. And then at that time, we said the same thing. Let's see where it ends the next couple of weeks, right? Let's see how it ends like 10 days out. Yeah, hopefully y'all hear me say that all the time, right? And here it is. It's up significantly higher, right? That's difficult to predict. Talk about, see the difficulty of the short-term price action, right? It's so difficult to forecast that type of stuff. A borderline impossible for like an individual investor, right? So tough. But at least today we could just look back on not just today's action, right, which is huge, a huge move, but just look back over the 6 months. I mean, it's just incredible, right? Can I show a chart? Can I analyze a chart? I feel like it can analyze a chart, you know? It's not a science. Can I look at the chart a little bit? Check out that chart though, huh? Can I do charts real quick? Can I do charts? Look at that. Look at that line right there. Can I look at the chart a little bit? I mean, no, we used to do charts. We used to do charts back in the day. I think it can be fun. Let me just get to the chart real quick. Wait, can I draw? Hold on. Let me see if I remember how to do this. Oh, I do right there. All right, look at that. Look at this. It's like jumping up and jumping down. That chart was just bullish.
All right, we're back. We're going to get into the week that was and maybe the week that will be. It is, well, it's a little bit later now. Sunday night. GameStop is trading at $22.77 in overnight trading. We popped.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah, let's go. It actually got up to $22.95 about 15 minutes ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't really checked the volume here. It's decent. Yeah. I think we had like 150,000.
Yeah, I'm seeing some support off of the moving averages in overnight trading. So.
Nice. Yeah, we popped to 20, 30, 40. The ruling on the field that it is not a thump.
Correct.
That those trades at 23.40 came later and weren't the one. The solo trade that we get when it is a thump. So That's cool though.
It was just straight up volatility on the open is what it was.
Yeah, it's exciting, and that was with really no Burry news. Maybe some letdown news from Burry.
And there were actually just like dozens of trades within the opening seconds of overnight trading. So
nice, so we're looking good.
Wouldn't be surprised if it's partially Burry related, just because what I was saying before. When Burry gets into a stock, recently with NVIDIA and Palantir, a lot of eyes, a lot of other whales kind of scope it out. And, the way the overnight system is set up, it's like a chalkboard system. Like if traders post buys, even though if the buys aren't executed, they basically go to this ticker system. I forget what the company is called. There's basically one company that controls this. Yeah. Oh, is that what it is?
Boats, they're the ones that do the overnight trading, at least for Robinhood,
and they post it. So there's interest. There's interest. People are probably checking it out. People are probably buying the stock, man.
Yeah. I always feel like that shit's kind of whack, whatever it is. But it does mean that there's interest, and maybe the algo's trading it up a little bit. So we started the week off with similar type of things. The Monday gap up trend continued last week. And it was a holiday week. And I think I started out the show saying how usually Thanksgiving week specifically, I've been hurt real bad on Thanksgiving week in 2021. And right after Black Friday was the one that usually those half days don't do so well. And some of them have been terrible. But it kind of proved me wrong. We were up 11% last week. And volume kind of grew towards the end of the week. So Monday we were up 1.74%, by the way. And the market SPY was up 1.47%. I just thought that was kind of interesting. 5.5 million traded on Monday. Just a nice day. Nice solid day. We were still seeing call selling. We can talk about that a little bit here, I guess, in a second. But it was a nice start, and the week kind of continued to go that way. We're up 2.78% on Tuesday. SPY was up 1%, so I like to keep track of how we move with SPY. 4.7 million traded. Wednesday we're up 2.7%. SPY was up 0.69, and volume was 4.6 million. So all of the 19 people, I saw some victory laps out there. I guess they got it. What did we get to? 1993, and that was Thursday the 25th. Yeah, good job, guys. I hope you feel good about it. I saw a lot of the victory laps around there, and maybe I made a few calls saying that we would never get down there, but we did, and it seems like we might have gotten our bounce from then. Closed Thursday, and then half day Friday, but we had 8.1 million traded on Friday. That was the Thanksgiving hype from Burry. So actually we didn't have the hype last Sunday. Actually, that was Thanksgiving into Friday, and then the midday hype as well from Burry, and we saw it. I mean, the chart looked great. We gapped up on Friday though. So from 2163 to 2204, we now have a gap on the chart to our downside. There's another one down there at 17. But man, we're looking good. Even the way we closed the day out, we closed at 2255. Let me see what our weekly volume was. It was, of course, a day and a half close, but 23 million. It just feels like, a very nice candle, by the way, on the weekly, 11% up, finished almost with no wick up there too. Just looks like we're flagging and getting ready to go again. So I feel good about that. Looking at the borrow rate, that thing popped at the end of the day on Friday as well. I think it's at 1.2% right now. That's a big jump. I think it was down there at the 0.3 or 0.4, and then just kind of popped. So that's a real good signal for this coming week. We've had some history on this coming week. Well, I guess not. It's the week after OPEX settlement week. That's when the 28th was a couple of years ago for us. That's when RC replied to Plute, and then we got a fat bid. There's a lot of activity this time of year for us, especially since earnings is only like 9 days away.
No, yeah, and like I was saying, this year particularly has been different even from 2024. When RC was active, around earnings time, there's just a lot of shit going on. RC's tweeting, or then he goes into blackout. Then GameStop starts tweeting all sorts of crazy shit. Yeah, man, definitely a lot of things going on right now.
Yeah, the other thing that I think is worth talking about when it came to last week is the GMEWS. So those fuckers are popping
Oh,
too.
yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
So we started the week out at we closed Monday at $2.60, and then we closed Friday at $3.34. Just Friday alone was up 11%. So I haven't really been looking at IV that far out. So I'm not sure if it's getting a big bump from IV. I would assume IV is going up, especially on the shorter data stuff. As earnings gets closer, that IV will continue to climb. Yeah, I don't know. It's really interesting. There's been a lot of talk that this constant call selling that we've been seeing ever since the GMEWS came out. And by constant, I mean constant every single day. That is now let up. What was that? Sorry.
No, I said yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I mean that, and the worst of it, I'm trying to find, because we had I feel like we had the bottom of our call selling. It was at the 24th. We just bottomed out on call selling. It was terrible. But then after that, the last 2 days we were positive on net call premium. The option chain is just starting to maybe come alive a little bit. So those are all good things, because the talk had been that these warrants, first off, it split the chain. So we had two option chains. One is position close only, with a lot of in the money calls, especially out of January. So I gotta assume that's leading to a lot of call selling. But Alert was talking in the Discord as well that it could be institutions and such hedging their new GMEWS by selling calls, and that makes a lot of sense too. So he'd been every day just waiting for that to end, and maybe that has finally ended. So I don't know. I'm feeling really positive about how we bounced. I kind of wish that we wouldn't have left a gap down there on Friday. Otherwise, I'd be saying straight up for the rest of the week, I could see us testing 2204 again. Maybe filling that 2163. But we also got we do leave gaps, especially on big days where cool shit happens. Like Burry could possibly be going long on GameStop. We have a gap to the north side of us, 2327. So that's honestly, I think that'd be our next stop if we keep going up. We got a lot of stops between the following gap, which is at $27, $26.99. But it just, who knows? This time of year, we could absolutely catch a bid. Like the run in October was pretty suppressed. It felt like it got pretty much everything since the GMEWS has felt pretty damn suppressed. So it feels like we're due. We just need to get going, and maybe it is before earnings. So, all right, I think that's all I had on the chart. I'm just I'm feeling really excited about it, and I'm thinking we just continue to climb, at least in earnings, and then who knows what RC does. We can talk about what we might see there in a little bit. But Paulie, what you got? What are you seeing with the chart? You got anything?
Yeah, man. I mean, there's a lot to be excited about. I think cautious optimism is what I want to go for right now, too. Just looking back historically, just at the last time that GameStop went below, what I've been calling the Gandalf line. I want to look back and compare what happened then to what's happening now. The biggest thing that I want to keep an eye on really at any point is volume. And as of right now, we're still not seeing a ton of volume. And, that has me, keeping an eye on this price action, because it does look good in general, but we don't have a very strong confirmation of breakout. We did have pretty good volume, I will say, on Friday, especially for it being a half day of this week. So that's a really great start. But I don't want to get too overconfident that this is the breakout move. Now, that said, when the volume comes, that's going to be the signal that yes, this is a breakout from that downward move. I'll also note that in terms of this suppression, like this beach ball underwater type move, I mean, we spent a total of 24 minutes under $20 on Thursday, November 20th, and 1 minute, it was the opening minute, the next day, Friday, 21st, under 20. It opened at 1995, and it was just up from there, right? So GameStop has spent a total of 25 minutes under $20 so far this year. And
dare I say we're not going back?
At least this year, volume is going to be the key indicator, right? So, like, what I'll say is, if volume dries up here, then what we should expect to see is it'll get shorted back down. We will retest 20 again, and it will probably go below that. And if it does, then you should expect to see probably pressure from people like Michael Burry for GameStop to do buybacks like he did 5 years ago. Actually, I guess it would have been 6 years ago at this point, is when he was expecting them to do share buybacks. And if it goes significantly lower than $20, then there would be an even stronger case for them to do that. Because rather than investing the money outside of the company, then the intrinsic value of the shares is significantly higher to do buybacks in that way. So, the way that I look at stuff like that is that, the more that I've studied, especially Warren Buffett's writings over the last few weeks, is that he looks at a stock that's getting beaten down, much like GameStop did the last two times it's been below what I call the Gandalf line, and much like it is right now. The way that Warren Buffett looks at stuff like that is that he looks at it like, someone very, very greedy. And he loves stocks on sale. And I know that Roaring Kitty, Ryan Cohen, and Michael Burry all consider Warren Buffett to be a tremendous influence in their investing style. So take that for what it's worth.
And what did Paulie? What? Sorry to interrupt, but what was Burry saying about in his post on Substack about kind of some of his early investments in 99, and then also some investments that he wasn't around investing at the time, but in the 80s, with Apple kind of hovering under its cash value. Can you go over that real quick?
Yeah. So in his post called Foundations, My 1999 and Part of 2000, he went over stuff like Coca-Cola, American Express, Disney, Apple, and whether or not they were a good return on investment, things like that. He talked about Apple in particular, and about how great companies can be missed for a long period of time, and how Apple was one of them. They had traded sideways or gotten crushed for the better part of like 12 years, I think it was. And in 1999 or somewhere around there, I think he said, here's the direct quote. He said, "It would often trade very cheap back then. Later, when I was running my fund, I bought it at one point for about $12. So he's reflecting on 1999, but he's talking about a time in future terms, after 1999. But he says, later when I was running my fund, I bought it at one point for about $12, and it had about $11 per share in cash and ARM holding stock. It was selling its ARM holding stock, which I thought would be a catalyst for it. but back to 1999. So then it gets nostalgic again for 99. So, I mean, does that sound, reminiscent of any company that we talk about extensively on here? A company that's trading close to its cash value. And, Michael Burry saw that as a significant reason to invest in that company. And then he goes on to talk about how, he got his start basically writing about stocks. He actually got paid by MSN Money to write at the time, about $1 a word, which he thought was just, amazing mailbox money. And he thought it was just silly that people would pay him to write because he would have done it for free, essentially. And which is kind of ironic, right? Because now people are paying him to write on Substack. Full circle. Time is a flat circle. And he more or less said the same thing. And we've discussed this before. I do not speak French, but he put a French quote in this right before the quote that I just read as well, which is, I'm going to just say the English translation. One of the English translations for it is, the more things change, the more they remain the same. Or another way of saying that is, what goes around comes around, or time is a flat circle. I mean, we've seen this reiterated in multiple ways, essentially. But the more that I read Michael Burry's writings, the more I see parallels in the GameStop story, and not only just how he kind of approaches his general philosophy on investing, but also just kind of the funny things about how not only he got his own start, but how Keith Gill got his start in the value investing community, right? Because we don't necessarily know the total value of the Roaring Kitty portfolio, but we do know that he had approximately $53,000 worth of options in GameStop when he started to reveal publicly his position in GameStop, right? Well, when Michael Burry started ValueStocks.net in 1999, he was managing a $50,000 portfolio with that inherited money from the wrongful death lawsuit. And that's essentially how he got his start and started, cutting his teeth in the value investing community.
Who has
that's
a
just
bigger
kind of an
port?
Interesting coincidence. Who has a bigger port right now? Yeah,
Kitty or Burry?
That's a great question, right?
I think Kitty. Of course, I would.
I mean, there's I use this phrase a lot. There's a non-zero chance that it could be Roaring Kitty, right? I mean, well, let's take it one step further. GameStop probably has a bigger portfolio. They've got about $9 billion in cash right now, and their cash holdings are. I'm not actually sure exactly how big Scion Asset Management was before they closed down, but I don't think it was quite $9 billion.
No, I think it was
they were big,
about $1 billion. About $1 billion.
That's pretty big.
Not huge.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically run like a family office. Like he didn't necessarily take on just anybody as a client, I think. So, but Michael Burry personally is worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and he profited handsomely off of his trades made in 2008. And that's obviously what people know him for, but he's done, generally pretty well. He's also not got a perfect track record either. He's not some, investing messiah who never makes mistakes, right? Like, let's acknowledge that. But he, neither is Warren Buffett either, right?
No, exactly.
Warren Buffett makes mistakes. He will own that. He'll talk about it, but he also looks at everything as a learning opportunity, and he likes to talk about, what can we do to be better? And I think that all of these are healthy mindsets to take with all of this. And just go ahead.
No, I want to say something here in terms of healthy mindsets. It's a good reminder, because earlier we were talking about, oh, why is he doing this? Is it because he wants to go long GameStop, or does he want to start a blog? I don't think it's 0 or 1. I don't think it's black and white like that. I think he has, first of all, due to just everything we've talked about on this pod tonight, earned the right to exist as a successful, semi-retired, but in his words, definitely not retired, fund manager. He's rolled with the best. His name is up there with Jim Simmons, no one's name is up there with Warren Buffett, but in the same ballpark in terms of like just acumen and trust and general approach, right? So I think he's earned the right to not just be a 0 or 1 guy. Like his options here with GameStop aren't just go long or write a blog about it, right? He's earned the right to just be a market commentator. And I think this is important because we talk about marketing and PR, right? This, to me, even if it ends up being neither of those things, one and done blog post, and he's not going long, he's going to bring a lot of eyes on the GameStop story. Because if he's going to spend any time writing about something, and we know this guy's into, by the way, swaps and all these things, that's his like specialty, right? Like that's how he tracks equities, etc. He's going to write something interesting. So it's, to me, that's how I'm managing my expectations, because obviously we're all super protective of the community, etc. But this guy's a fucking legend, man.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And swaps are big for our story too. Like big for our story.
Exactly.
Probably the one thing that causes our movements, our cycle runs is swaps. So
that's where the volume comes from.
Yeah, I want him to post about GME tomorrow at 5 minutes after open. That would be dope.
Right? Yeah.
I mean,
and on that note, like I'll take a direct quote from this Observer article that is really quoting from his Substack, but what it says is, in his Substack description, Burry said Scion's closure was partially motivated by a desire to share investment ideas more freely. And then here's their direct quote of Burry. It says, running money professionally came with regulatory and compliance restrictions that effectively muzzled my ability to communicate, he wrote. These constraints meant I could only share cryptic fragments publicly, if at all. Burry told readers to expect 1 to 2 posts a week, along with occasional Q&As, videos, and guest contributions. Rather than placing bets, he'll be breaking down markets. I'm not retired, said Burry. There is still nothing I enjoy more than analyzing companies and markets each and every day. So, I mean, I think that is a pretty good insight into maybe his motivation behind doing the Substack, as well as maybe what to expect. But I think just the insight behind... Also, you look at the name that he put behind it. He called it Cassandra Unchained. Also, for those who are maybe a little bit confused as to why he goes by the name Cassandra, both on X and on the Substack, that is a mythology reference. And Warren Buffett himself has used that name to refer to Michael Burry and other harbingers in the past. In particular with reference to the great financial crisis of 2008. So, he said that, the Cassandras were there, as in the signs were there and people weren't listening. So, if you're a little confused as to why he wears that badge of honor proudly, then I would recommend that you go look up what Cassandra is in mythology, because it is a very apt name. And so when he calls himself Cassandra Unchained, I think it is really evocative here, where he's saying like he owes no one not only an explanation, but like he really is like not tethered to anything here. And he's not regulated by the SEC. He can speak freely.
That's true.
Yeah. And to that end too, like I think everybody's expecting him to, open a GameStop position, anything like that. If he does truly want to be completely unchained, he may not actually open a position. Right. Like if you think about that, because if you want to be completely untethered to any accusations of market manipulation, then you should be completely, what's the word?
have no material involvement.
Exactly. Yeah. If you have no material involvement whatsoever in the things that you're commenting on, then nobody can accuse you of having any ulterior motives. So
and we saw
that's
from
something to consider.
That email forward, we saw that deep into 2021 he was still being investigated, and that went on probably for years, for all we know.
Right.
That was just the beginning of it, and that was from a trade he made in 2019. So that's a good point too. That if he truly wants to be unchained, and if he's truly got some amigos in Ryan and Keith, he might not want to take a position. And by the way, guys, just a correction from earlier, he was not managing $1 billion. His fund was managing just around 150 million, and even less when just now when he closed, but last year too. And his personal net worth is like in the hundreds of millions. I definitely think Kitty's port is way bigger.
Way bigger. Way bigger. All right. All right. So let's move on, because we got to get into the earnings on deck. This is becoming a Burry podcast. I like it though. I looked at my Robinhood. I forgot how good last week was. Do you guys play any calls? You don't play calls, Robot, huh?
I don't.
No, Paul, you weren't in last week. It was hard to be in last week. I did well, but
I didn't open any new positions last week, but I already had some open for this coming week. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think I'm going to play earnings too. I want Cassandra to pump my calls. Let's do it. All right, so let's talk about earnings. It got announced. It got announced just a couple days ago for December 9th. That's a Tuesday. So everyone listening, we will be having our earnings special. That day we'll be recording from the Discord about 5 minutes before. We'll be in there a little bit earlier, but 5 minutes before the close of market usually drops. The earnings report usually drops just like a few minutes after. Whole Discord is invited. If you are in the echo chamber, please come. We'd love to have you come up. It's my favorite. I think it's our favorite show. Most of the guys will all be there, but please be a part of it. But so earnings, it got announced for the 9th. No call, no conference call. But I'm beyond that. I think we're getting our calls in interviews now quarterly. I think that's how it's going for us. Every couple months, RC does an extended interview. She tells us all kinds of cool shit. So, but I think we all have pretty high expectations for it. Even the estimates are pretty high. So, Robot, why don't you take us through kind of what you're seeing, and we'll kind of talk about it as we go.
Yeah, man. Just laying some context for how I always look at earnings. Typically, just for any company, you would kind of look at year over year and how they did same quarter last year, and to get an idea of how they're doing this year. But that doesn't really apply for GameStop, because GameStop they restructured just their physical footprint, and so. But I still like to look at it, but it's really not an apt comparison. To me, a more accurate comparison right now, especially because we just had the first console in a console supercycle launch, is to really look at the quarter right before, which is Q2. And we'll get into the numbers, but before we do that, like year over year is still a good look. So in general, not GameStop sales, but for the category of hardware, software, hardware and accessories, software and collectibles, year over year, there's been growth in pretty much almost all of these categories. So that's worth noting. Like hardware sales, obviously due to Switch 2, compared to last year, just industry-wide is up 24%, which makes sense, right? New console. Accessories are down compared to last year overall market by around 6 to 10%. I got some varied numbers.
Cool.
Software sales are up 11%, but that in the overall market, but obviously that doesn't mean a lot to GameStop, because most of that is like when you do overall market analytics for software, it doesn't only count digital games and physical games. It also counts like in-game purchases and a bunch of other like mobile game like in-game stuff, that none of that stuff applies to GameStop. But it is worth noting there was an 11% year-over-year increase in software sales. And then collectibles having a banner year-over-year, market-wide 33% increase. And we know that GameStop's market capture has increased, so their growth year-over-year is going to be even more, obviously, from last Q3.
And
but
RC
yeah, man,
told
that kind of
us,
zooms out.
And RC told us that that would end the year like a third or 30%. I forget what the exact number
About
is.
a third. About a third.
Yeah. So, and we're at 25.
Yeah.
And we're at 25%, I think, after Q2. So, to hit that number, we would need to see a pretty big jump here, right?
These next 2 quarters for sure, and we'll definitely get it because just PowerPack sales are ramping up, and they're not as much as people are thinking for Q3. I'm a little more conservative on that side, but for Q4 they're going to be pretty huge. But on that note, we in Q2, just as a reminder, we did 592 million in hardware sales, 152 in software sales, and 227 in collectibles. And again, I'm stating Q2 because I kind of want to compare it to I want to compare it to Q2 instead of comparing it to Q3 2024.
Right.
And in terms of the hardware for Q3 hardware sales, I was expecting it to be, looking at Switch 1 launch, I was expecting this quarter to be much stronger than launch quarter, but I think it's just a very different time. Consumer habits are what consumer habits are right now. The economy is in a specific place, but still, Switch 2 showed, just month over month reporting for those months. We have all that data now. Showed pretty strong sales. There was a pretty strong dip in September, but it recovered in October. And just as a reminder for listeners, our Q3 quarter is August, September, October. There was a dip in September, and then not a pickup from August and October, but just a regain from that dip to the August numbers. So overall, I think Switch 2 is pretty strong. But the other thing here to note for hardware is, number one, another negative point is that Xbox hardware sales are going down. They just are. All 3 of those months, their hardware sales are down. Actually, we only have data for 2, but yeah, they've been trending down in general for about 2 years. However, to balance this out, PlayStation, in this period, August, September, October, generally for the last going back 5 years, actually, pretty much since the launch of PS5, they've sold 50% more hardware August to October than they did in July, June, and May. And so, that kind of counters the loss from Xbox, counters some of the not stagnant, but plateau of Switch 2 sales. And worth noting too, on hardware, Switch 1 sales continue to be really strong, and it's a great gift for kids or just kids getting into it. So a lot of parents still are buying Switch 1. And that just makes sense. A lot of little kids don't need to Switch 2. So that's hardware. I'm pretty much, as a result, expecting hardware sales. Last quarter was 592, expecting it to be around 604 this year, given all the stuff I just said. But I will say, I think I'm being super conservative on this category. I think realistically, sales were much higher. I think we're going to be closer to 650, but that's kind of, I think, the lowest case scenario there is 604. And that's
so okay. So let's talk about why you don't want to go to last year. You'd rather go to last quarter. Is the store closures part of that reason?
Exactly. Huge reason. Last year we closed stores, some stores throughout the year, but most of the stores we closed were after Christmas of 2024. So in January of 2025. Yeah. And pretty much throughout that time, we had around 4,000 stores. It's hard to tell because of, they don't announce store closures throughout the year, right? But at the end of Q4, which was at the end of March when we got that report for the period that ended end of January, we had 3,203 stores. Okay. So yeah, definitely like smaller business, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And Q3 2024, too, the other reason that's the primary reason I would say. The secondary reason is that you can't, hardware sales in Q3 2024 was only 417 million. And the reason I'm not going off of that too is because it wasn't a console release year, right? So that's a big Switch 2 numbers is a big, close to 200 million impact. On the opening quarter that we sold it in the June quarter or whatever quarter June was in Q2, and so that's really my focus. Those two reasons is why I'm going off of Q2 2025 instead of Q3 2024.
Cool. I was just wondering. I know those store closures played a big role, and we heard a lot about it in January, and then we were talking a little bit about it a little bit ago because we had a possible update to numbers. Well, we don't find those out until March, though, right? The new store count that only comes once a year.
Yeah, they're only doing it once a year now. We won't find out till March. And the other thing too, mentioning here, there's a lot of other data points I checked to corroborate. So, for example, some of the industry-wide data I led with in terms of what's going on in gaming and collectibles, looking at those not just the percentage increases, but looking what those numbers were like in Q3 of 2024 versus what they are now also goes into this calculation.
Cool. Yeah. So just the estimate for Q3 this year is, let me pull it up. It's 972. No, sorry.
That's like an analyst estimate.
I went too far. Yeah, well, whatever. I don't even know if we got one. An analyst, that is. 987 million is whoever our analyst is estimating for Q3 2025. We don't know. They've all quit, which is
a chat GPT plug.
Yeah. So, and we've it was 900 million for Q2, and we beat that by 72 million. So, that's nice. 887 was the estimate in Q3 2024. And the reported in Q3 2024 was 860 million. So we are estimated to crush Q3, and it feels like we're probably going to beat that too. So maybe another $1 billion or more in revenue for Q3. I mean, we did that in 22. We did 1.19 billion. 1.08 in Q3. But like this is it's reversing on us, like the bottom seems to be on the revenue decline, and I don't know.
That's in. Bottom's in, totally.
Yeah.
I'm projecting, for the full year, I'm projecting around 4.1 or 4.2 billion in revenue. So definitely, and last year we did 3.8. So definitely going to see an increase this year. And a big litmus test for that is if we can cross pretty much 1 billion for Q3, and I think we have that in the bag pretty comfortably.
Yeah.
Software is probably what makes me the most nervous, to be honest with you guys, because that's been kind of our weakest growth area. It's been our strongest loss of sales area, both, mostly market wave, and to give you guys some insight, our three main vendors for software are Sony, Xbox, and Nintendo, okay, for GameStop sales. Sony is 80% online sales for games and 20% physical. Xbox is 93% online and 7% physical. And Nintendo is about 50% online and 50% physical. So that's why I by the way, for our listeners, why I always randomly hype Nintendo game releases on my X profile is because like that margin is the highest for us because we sell the most physical games. But that's what's worried me, just because GameStop's lost a lot of those sales because people just buy them direct now. But this time of year, number one, a lot of AAA games come out, and this year was no different. There's just stack titles, last earnings on deck, I think I read out a bunch of games that were coming out. It was no different for just this period, October, September, August. There's a ton of games that came out, including some Nintendo originals. So, Q2, we did 153 million in software sales. Q3 2024, we did 271, but we've had a major decline since then. It's been again just our continued decline in software sales, but I do think that's also hit a bottom. So 153 from Q2 was what we did, but for Q3, given all the Nintendo games, Sony also, besides 50% additional hardware sales, they sell 35 to 50% extra software, again, of which only 20% is physical, of which X% GameStop captures in the US. So it's not a lot. It's not a lot of movement, and I really want to emphasize that. Xbox is pretty much sells very little. It's probably a negative in my projections anyway. But because of Nintendo's sales, with the Switch 2 release, they've just had massive original titles released. They had Mario, Kirby Air Rider just came out, Pokemon came out in October, so that was in Q3. Donkey Kong 3D came out, and there's one more too that was a big blockbuster release, and a few other games that weren't like Nintendo company games, original games, but were really big AAA type releases on Switch 2. So, and by the way, Switch 2 is now supporting like a lot of these AAA titles from Sony and Xbox for the first time. So we sold a lot of those games as well. So overall in Q3, so Q2 we did 152. I'm being really conservative here, but I think we're going to do around 157 to 100 and top side 175, but I have it down at 157 million for software sales for Q3.
So
but I think we could do 175 to 200 if like Nintendo really fucking crushed it,
That'd be dope. So how much do you think will be money from our investments? How much? I think I saw 100 million. Someone was putting out there.
Wait. So before I get to that, I just want to finish the legacy business categories, and then we'll jump right into that. All right.
Cool.
So that's software. So hardware I have at 604, software at 157. These are all super conservative. Collectibles in Q2 we did 227 million. In Q1 we did 211 million. And collectibles, just because we have entered the fuck out of this space, we just really can't compare to the quarters in 2024. So I'm really going off of Q2 and Q1, Q4, and actually, Q3 2024 is kind of when we started. So definitely just been an up curve from there. Like Q3 2024, we did 171 million. Q4 2024, obviously anomaly because it's our busiest season, but we did 270. But then going back, Q3 we did 171, and then coming to Q1 2025, we did 211 million. Again, increase in Q2 to 227. So the big X factor is PowerPacks, but even just without that for a second, I'm expecting if PowerPacks wasn't a thing, we would probably still do about 240 or 245 million. But because PowerPacks just launched, I have the ramp up and much slower. Like I was reading Region Formal did like an update on his analysis for GameStop's earnings on Reddit, and he was on his collectibles earnings. He had he updated the estimate to like 1.4 billion, and that was based entirely on he thinks PowerPacks is going to bring in like 300 million or something, 350 million. But in his assumptions, he assumed that, and he just said it. He said he made it up. But he said he assumed that GameStop invited 500,000 beta users to PowerPacks. I think that is off by an order of magnitude. Like I don't even think. I think the original, before we opened it up in Q4 with the extra 5,000 people, and then just open for a few days, etc. I think we had only maybe invited like 10,000 people maximum. So I think that estimation's a little off. Look, guys, I do think PowerPacks is going to ramp up to eventually bring 30, 50, 70 million in top line revenue a month. We're just not there yet. I actually have a chart on my profile about this. I think for Q3 specifically, so August, September, October, we did total just PowerPacks probably around 12 to 15 million. And I know people are going to be like, oh, you're crazy. We did so much more. I don't think so, but we'll see. But as such, I have total projected collectibles revenue to be 254 million compared to 227 last quarter. That's a big jump. It might be a little more. I think I am being super conservative there. I think it's probably going to be close to 275. But all in all, that brings my revenue estimate to $1,015 million. So $1,015 million. But yeah, going to the net income side, you asked about interest income.
Yeah.
I think last quarter we had like 79 million in interest income. I think rates have changed since then. So, most of the securities that Ryan uses to generate that are short-term treasuries. And so rates have decreased for that. If they hadn't, it would be around 101 to 105 million if we just went apples to apples, increased cash on hand, same stats. But because they have, I think it's going to be a little lower, probably between 90 to 100. I have it at 100 million because I think Ryan's getting a little more, potentially a little more. He's changed his strategy there. And then, so I have that at around 100 million. I have just from the operating income from the business at around 66 million. And I have a $10 million loss from the Bitcoin unrealized loss because of what the Bitcoin price was at the end of the quarter, which brings my total net income projection to 156 million.
Oh shit! All right. So then, and what about EPS?
The Bitcoin loss should be slightly smaller.
Smaller. I was thinking more,
but only just so. And I'll tell you my reason why on that, and it's only just because when I look at the second quarter earnings report and I look at the fair value that they report a fair value of $528.6 million and an unrealized gain of $28.6 million on the 4,710 Bitcoin that they owned at that time. And of course, we are assuming that there's been no additional transactions on Bitcoin for these numbers.
Big assumption. Yep.
Right. Yeah. Huge assumption. But in order to arrive at these numbers, in order for that to have played out, what they would have used is the essentially the same reporting mechanism that MSTR uses for their end of quarter reporting on their price of Bitcoin, which is the 4 p.m. price on the last day of the quarter on the Coinbase exchange. So, so that doesn't make a huge difference, but what I come out to is approximately $9.3 million paper loss from the beginning of quarter two, or the beginning of the third quarter to the end of the third quarter. So that's only about a $700,000 difference from what your estimate was. But I just wanted to kind of walk through what my methodology was on that. And of course, we only get one decimal place on their fair value. So, there's a lot of potential for rounding errors here. But
it's a really good point too, because the other thing too that I didn't mention is, like we were talking about with last year, and what was the temporal aspect of stores closing. As we were talking, I think it was just a private chat, me, you, and Fitzzzy. We were talking earlier this week about stores closing here, just gathering some anecdotal evidence together, and a buddy of ours shared some info that he saw on an official GameStop system. We were discussing that, and if they're doing that, then their SG&A is going down. And the rent expenses are going down, and so their net profit margin is going to be a little larger. And the reason I'm mentioning that is because rounding errors, when I say I'm being conservative, if in Q2 our net profit margin was around 6.25%, we're cutting in more ways than just doing just closing stores. We're moving to e-commerce sales. We're focusing on high margin products. We're focusing on things like PowerPacks that are really, really high margin and low SG&A. And so I expect that net margin just by itself to go up to around 7% this quarter. And if we add in things like 200 to 400 stores that were probably closed worldwide, that could really take us up to 8%. And the reason I'm saying that is the difference between my net income projection of 156 million sitting around a conservative, my operating income of projection of 66 million, which is around 6.5%, is also super conservative. And like I was telling you guys, my hardware, software, and collectibles projections are conservative. And realistically, we're probably going to do $1.05 to $1.1 billion. And, if you guys just think about that, 7.5% of 1.1, all of a sudden you're looking at an operating income of close to $85 million, right? So I'm being super conservative. Fitz, you were asking, what is that for EPS?
Yeah,
I think with 447 million and 800,000 shares, like that brings it to around 0.34 basic, so non-diluted with all of our debt instruments that we have. So that's 0.34 basic is where I'm putting it.
All right. So the estimate is 0.2. So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so just to Q2, the estimate was 0.19 and we turned in 0.25. We've been whooping estimates ass is what I'm getting at. 0.08 in Q1 2025 estimate. We turned into 0.17. Q4 2024 0.08 estimate. We turned into 0.3. So we've beat estimate every time after Q1 2024, and it's just been getting better and better every time. So I would expect that trend to continue. I'm not going to give out an estimate because I haven't put in time like you guys have, or at all. So I'm not going to sit here and just throw out some random numbers. I do think we're going to beat $1 billion just because I think we're beating the estimate. This
is the echo chamber estimate. This isn't my estimate.
Yeah. There you go. I don't know, but I think we're going to beat everything. So, and I think it should be good. And then it's a matter of, do we get what happens after? Because that's when we get, our hang myself with toilet paper news offering, or a bond,
a Form 4.
Yeah,
huge Form 4.
2 days after that would, in Requel stuff, that'd be pretty close to when RC did his last buy in December 2020. Which kind of, I think his first buy kicked it off, but his last buy really set it off for January and everything that followed in 2021. Or are we going to get another announcement like we did last December, which was that there will be no more offerings, no more cash raises or anything for the rest of the fiscal year, which would take us out to February. I think first off, we got freedom. There's not going to be any early conversions for the bonds, not until next year now, right? I think that's the next time the window opens there. We got the 32 thing for the warrants. If RC kind of gives us the green flag at earnings that there won't be any more offerings, at least this year, I think that'd be a pretty damn good sign. We did think that last year too. I remember being very excited about that message. And we did run to 37, I think, is where we got. Maybe 35 before Greg fucked that cake. And then it was all terrible after that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm very optimistic. I think we catch a bid up until earnings. I think from now until then, 30-day IV I don't know if it's stopped. It just depends on what's happened. But IV inside 30 days is going to keep climbing. So there might be a chance to make some money maybe if you play things right, you just, my advice will always be with calls, take profit often and sell the open. If you catch a bid in the overnight, like sell the open. Okay.
What's up with why are the warrants disconnected from, and I don't know much about options, that's the question. Like, why are the warrants disconnected from leaps or options of that have the same theta?
So I think this is kind of an important dynamic of the warrants too, and this is an important distinction just of the fact that they do make their own market. So for a certain period of time, you should expect warrants to mimic options, right? But because these warrants were distributed to a finite number of shareholders based on the number of authorized shares issued, and there are no derivatives of the warrants themselves, there are no shenanigans that are supposed to be able to take place on the warrants. I think that is probably the one of the driving factors behind why they are going to be effective at making their own market. Now, options are also effective at driving the price of the underlying, but they can effectively be sold into infinity, right? You can sell or buy as many options as you want, and the stock can be purchased or sold, bought or shorted as much as necessary to hedge the options contracts that are sold. With warrants, you don't have that luxury, and warrants will effectively be their own market. Now, there can be some underlying effects of the warrant activity, and if the warrants themselves have volume and price activity that causes options or underlying security activity that may, one may squeeze the other, that is a possibility.
Squeeze the MEWS. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Excuse the MEWS. Let me ask you a follow-up question, right? So last year or whenever that was, we know what kind of calls were Kitty buying again? In the money $20 calls or something, right?
Yeah, $20
Deep
calls.
in the money calls.
Yeah, but he also bought some like 12s and 14s before that, I think.
In April, yep.
Okay. So in that letter that Burry revealed that Kitty wrote to him, he mentioned something very specific where he said, I'm not only paraphrasing, I'm just making up my own words because I don't remember what he said exactly. But he said, at these prices where it's so close to like trading at cash value or something.
Yeah, do you want the exact words?
Yes, please.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about, right? About equity and calls.
Yeah, dear Mr. Burry and team, thank you for writing the open letter to the board of GME. As a deep value investor, I share your views wholeheartedly, especially with regard to the board's inaction over the past few months in the face of an absurdly low share price. I am a CFA charter holder with roughly 10 years of experience as an independent investor, and I haven't seen anything like this before. As you know, usually such price action characterizes companies that are on their way to bankruptcy. Indeed, technical analysis has benefited me the most by steering me clear of such companies. Yet, these past few months, I find myself averaging down into the equity and leaps of a company with one of the ugliest POS charts I've ever seen. It's times like these where my value first mentality manifests most clearly.
So my question is, someone like Kitty, or just really honest, and I'm not being facetious, honestly, anybody, any whales looking at the situation, any deep value people that's been following Burry since 1998, since the valuestocks.net days, and just value investors in general, if they're looking at a situation like this in the same lens and thinking, okay, I'm going to average down my equity through buying more equity and leaps, but then they see this option of buying warrants, given the situation, the circumstances you described for just the mechanisms of how market makers for options, what dynamic is like contrasted with the warrant dynamic, would it make more sense for someone like Kitty or whomever to buy, instead of buying leaps, to buy these warrants?
It very well could.
I mean, it could.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone,
yeah.
it wouldn't cost a lot, by the way, especially when we're down at like the 250s or 60s. It wouldn't cost a lot to, I mean, there's only 57 million of them. I say only, but it's very reminiscent of the way things were in 2020 for GameStop when the float was only 65 million. Now we got the GMEWS with a float less than 60 million. Share creation's a little tougher, I think, as well, because they're not like in ETFs and they're no options, so it's going to be harder to short it through the option chain.
Right.
Yeah. Now let me walk you through another scenario here. Now, if you owned a lot of leaps on the stock that were out of the money and therefore unhedged, and those didn't have a significant, delta or gamma impact on the stock, basically market makers are ignoring you on the options chain, but then you had a lot of dry powder and you started loading up on the warrants at low prices. That could cause options that were previously out of the money to become in the money and could require hedging from the market makers. So, I mean, it's a hypothetical scenario that, I mean, it does not take a lot of steps to get yourself to rationalize the probability that someone with deep enough pockets could use both the options chain and the warrants to their advantage. And something that we talked about with
equity.
And equity. And something that I think we talked about with Swami on the show before was the fact that the unique advantage with the warrants is that they can be traded in the pre and post market hours. They cannot be traded in the overnight session, at least not yet. But
until they find a way to take advantage of it.
Who knows if Boats is going to get their hands on those? But but they can be traded in the pre and post market session. So options can only be traded during regular trading hours, but warrants can be traded, from 4 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. and from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. So
and then.
We've seen a lot of the, peaking on the stock.
Everything
happen during pre-market hours, especially.
Yeah, shit like that. The whole market seems to happen that way. Like the huge majority of moves happen overnight and in pre-market. That's your best bet, especially if you're playing the
because news has to drop during.
They say that.
News can technically drop during market hours, but normally, if a company is going to drop news, they will sometimes halt the ticker because news is pending. Or if there is, say, an event going on, it has to be open to the public. Everybody has to have the same access to the information, things like that. Or if, the CEO is giving an interview, that information has to be publicly available to everybody. So, an insider cannot drop information that is material during market hours unless everyone has public access to that information.
Unless
in the
you're
same
Elon,
way, right?
You just tweet about that shit. Just real quick on the MEWS. I will say that the $32 October 2026 calls are trading at $285 right now. So that's a significant difference between.
It's almost $1 below. The warrant price.
So it's interesting.
So
it's not
that
IV related
divergence.
either.
That divergence is honestly one of the things that we should be looking for as a sign that we are getting closer to showtime. You know, and
Interesting. Why do you say that?
Just because if you have behavior on the warrants that is not mimicking the calls, then something is afoot.
Someone's buying that shit.
Yeah, it means that there's pressure coming on the warrants that is not being, also mimicked on the calls, and so it's got to be coming from somewhere. So, if they're behaving the same, then that's sort of business as usual. But if you have a divergence between the two, and the warrants start to outperform the stock and the option and their comparable options chain, then it means that we should at a minimum be paying closer attention to all of the indicators on the chart for those things, right? Like it's not going to be like a golden goose opportunity sort of thing, but it means like, hey, something could be about to go down. Pay attention to, like I always say, volume is your number one indicator. And when that starts coming in, you know that it is actually showtime. But these are, in my opinion, the leading indicators that something's about to go down. And if volume dries up and we start to see an exhaustion on this, then that is where we also get the confirmation that, okay, this was a false move up, and we're going to see it, retrace back down for a lower sweep into a lower low before that beach ball bouncing back up. So, it's one of those things where, like, yeah, we all know it's going to explode up at some point. It's just a matter of time. I don't personally care about whether I have the ability to call, like, oh, yep, here's the bottom. Like, I could care less. So that does not matter to me. But just I want to caution people, like, do not chase something without understanding what your signals are. Understand where your entry points and exit points should be, like, because you can very quickly take everything that you have gained and lose it if you are getting into that mentality. So
be patient. Be patient and don't just YOLO. All right, so everyone get your shot glasses ready. We're running out of we're running out of time.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is. So let's move on to Tinfoil. I really like that earnings breakdown, Bad Robot. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm fired up about this finally, because for real, we went through a really fucking shitty month and a half or so. From about the beginning, 2 months almost now, from the beginning of October when the GMEWS came out until now. Top tier shitty, like, February or 2023. No, I'm trying to think. No, the beginning of 2024. Sorry, down to April 2024. That was some really shitty times. We've been through about that now, it seems, and there's been a couple on the chart that are like that. So, hats off to all of us. I think we made it. I almost don't even want to say that now. I just knocked on my desk here.
No, so we did, and it's a good reminder too that, like, watching the stock price can be demoralizing.
Oh man!
But given what we were talking about with how GameStop is basically, for lack of other words, conducting itself this year as a company, especially around earnings times, reassuring shareholders, showing us what's going on at the business, what they're doing, how they're spending their time, how they're spending their money, going on interviews, RC talking about investments, etc., all sorts of things. I think those are the things to remember. And then all of these things make a lot more sense, obviously, when the stock price is going up, and they're easier to forget when the stock price is going down or stagnant. But it works. Like, GameStop's about to post a positive earnings. If you really zoom out, RC will tell you himself, we had dog shit earnings for a long time. you know,
Oh, yeah.
and that's something that really does affect and move the algorithms that determine price discovery, and that's just starting to change in the last 9 months, you know. So I think if we just keep focusing on these earnings, everything else will come.
For sure. All right. Yeah. All right. So tinfoil, I don't have much. I do have that RC changes profile picture since we last got together. He turned it.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one.
He changed it to a color Tetris game piece where he's about to get the final, 4 squares up and down piece. It's a pretty standard Tetris photo that's on their wiki. I just, bring it up. That happened. And then we also got a TA team tweet from RC. It's a job. That's a job offering, by the way, that our CEO and chairman.
Since you brought posting. Up Tetris,
yeah. What's up?
We should talk about this.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Okay. Before we move on from that, Fitz. So, Paulie, why don't you take us off?
Yeah. Paulie's showing a Tetris box. That's all I'm aware of at this point.
This is Tetris.
Yeah. What is the product?
This is Tetris the board game.
Okay.
The physical board game. This is a 2 to 4 player game. And I was at GameStop. This was yesterday, Saturday. Went back to GameStop and decided to get some Christmas shopping done. Noticed that they're running this buy 2 get 1 free on across several categories. One of them was board games, board game accessories, and trading card accessories. And so I was looking in the back corner of my GameStop. They have all these board games on the shelf, and I noticed they had like 4 copies of this Tetris game, and I was like, I didn't know that Tetris had a board game. They actually have had a board game for years, but this is a new kind of reboot of the Tetris board game. And it was announced in June of this year by the Tetris company on World Tetris Day, June 6th, that they were partnering with Spin Master. It's a Canadian company, and that it would be released this fall. And as I was checking out, I didn't know any of this as I was checking out. I was just like, oh, that's cool. And of course, Tetris was a little bit top of mind because of the fact that Ryan Cohen had recently changed his profile picture. So, Ryan, if you were trying to get me to buy this, then well played. We know you're a loyal listener of the show.
Paulie, tell us what
yes,
just what the person that worked there told you about when they shelved this when they started carrying this product.
Yeah. So Ben, one of the employees that works at my GameStop, he was commenting as I was checking out. He's like, we haven't had this very long, and I was like, oh, really? Like, you got any idea how long you've had it? He's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure we started carrying it last week. I was like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like, I remember putting it on the shelf. Like, and he works there like almost every day. So, I would consider him
Paulie,
a pretty reliable
Show Fitz the
source.
picture. Show Fitz the picture on the cover again.
Yeah. Look at the piece dropping in.
Yeah, it's the 4.
Yeah, on the cover art, that would be the 4-piece vertical. Yeah. So like this is obviously a common depiction of Tetris is for the what everyone now calls the hero piece, which was actually kind of a made up name for it in I think 2019. Someone just sort of doctored up an original manual from the Nintendo game, but now people call it the hero piece. It's just the 4-piece vertical line coming in.
The one when you need it and it comes, you're fucking stoked. Yeah, that one.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But also, I will note that in terms of how Tetris is scored, when you make a Tetris and you clear lines on the board, you get more points based on the number of lines that you clear. So this 4-line vertical block, when you make a Tetris with that one gives you more points when you make a Tetris with it than any other piece can. And when those 4 lines are deeper on the board than they can be, so like when you're doing it from all the way at the bottom of the board, that also amplifies your score. You also get more points from the higher the point that you drop it to accelerate the placement of the block. So, the specific position of that block in the image that Ryan Cohen used for his profile picture depicts that piece coming in from a pretty high position to make a 4-line Tetris that is placed at the bottom of the board. So the implication is that you're about to make a 4-line Tetris in the highest scoring way possible.
What I'm hearing is we're about to do some vertical integration to increase our net margins by quite a bit. Is that what I'm hearing? Or
I like that interpretation, and also like I also like the connotation that there is a board game involving multiple players. And Ryan Cohen changed his profile picture on, what was it, like the 19th? Which was, I think, the Thursday before Thanksgiving.
The 19th.
It was the 19th. And I'm gonna try to see if Ben can pinpoint for me the exact day that they started stocking this, because as I checked out and we had this conversation, I was like, I don't know how closely you follow Twitter /X, but Ryan Cohen recently changed his profile picture to a Tetris game, and he was like, that seems like more than a coincidence. And I was like, doesn't it? So yeah, like he's not like a tinfoil guy or anything. Like he doesn't really follow X or anything. Like I don't think he even knows that I'm on a podcast about GameStop, but he knows that I'm a regular customer. Like we talk about GameStop all the time. Like he's just a chill dude. And he thought that was a very singular occurrence, the fact that GameStop started stocking this product last week, and Ryan Cohen, the CEO, made a Tetris profile picture change about the same time. So yeah, that is, I think, highly interesting tinfoil, and just really, really cool.
I want to point something out for people that just being general, not being specific, any sort of acquisition right now in the $1 to $2 billion range, just in terms of there's return on investment, there's return on equity, there's return on capital, right? Just a return on investment, you can look at what the acquisition, what their net profiting, and what their SG&A is like, and what the merger would be like, or if you would just run it separately, et cetera, to kind of ascertain how much it would add to the bottom line of the acquiring company. But the other thing someone like me always looks at is how long would it take us to make up the acquisition price? That's why, for example, when people say, oh, we should acquire Atari, I say, oh, that's a horrible idea, because they value themselves at around $100 million, but they're only net profiting $2 million a year. So you buy them for $100 million, just from the net profits, regardless of the size of fund, it would take you a long time to recoup just the acquisition, the deployment amount. That's why I love deployments on things like Bitcoin, because there's a nominal value that you can hold in a liquid market that you can sell anytime, right? You can't do that with companies, right? So with at least with private companies, but in terms of if we make a $1.1 to $2 billion acquisition, the way we're net profiting right now, like our just current trailing 12 months net profits after December 9th is going to be around $450 million. Our trailing 12-month free cash flow is going to be around $500 million. But if we just look at net profits, Forward 12 months, our net profits are going to be around $750 million. And what I'm trying to say is if we made a $1 to $2 billion acquisition, we could recoup just that deployment amount in 2 years of net profits from the business. And remember, the debt we have on our books, we don't have to service. We don't have any principal payments or interest payments on that. So which
Correct.
is designed to give the fund manager that raised that capital time and a sandbox to play around without having to worry about making those principal payments to multiply that capital, right? And so anyway, long-winded way of saying, this tinfoil is fun for me because I look at stuff like, can a company, not just for GameStop, if a company is looking at acquiring a business, can it be multi-purpose does that business have its own revenue and set of products, obviously, that it can add to our top line or to the acquirer's top line? Check. Okay. Is the company running profitably? What's their balance sheet like, right? Like, do they have good cash? What kind of debt is it, etc.? Okay, check. 3 is this company currently making any products that can help me manufacture products I'm already selling, ultimately helping me vertically integrate some of my supply chain and some of the products and services I offer. And that doesn't only apply to a toy manufacturer like the company that manufactures this Tetris game. That applies to someone like PSA as well in the long run, or someone that actually manufactures cards like Topps, right? And then a fourth layer, because I was looking into this company that manufactures this Tetris game, and they're a pretty cool collectibles manufacturer, pretty much. They're a toy and collectibles manufacturer. They do about $2 billion in revenue. They're profitable. They have a good balance sheet. They made Rubik's Cube, so they have the licensing for that. It's huge. It's worldwide. They have a bunch of they have Paw Patrol, which is like huge for kids. That's their e-licensing play. They're pretty balanced between manufacturing and licensing / digital investments. They could manufacture a lot of the toys that GameStop sells. And by the way, I was looking into who their biggest customers are, and it turns out Toys' biggest customers are GameStop's biggest rivals in the US, Amazon, Target, and Walmart. So a fifth thing when you're acquiring a company, besides those four things, is if the company you're acquiring is a major supplier to your major competitors in the US. All of a sudden, you start cornering a little bit of the supply chain of some products and just some categories in the US. So that's kind of where my brain went with a little bit of tinfoil. I like it. Paulie sending me pics of his Tetris board game, and telling me what Ben said about the stocking date.
So the tinfoil could be that possibly he is purchasing that company, any company. I put it's the perfect piece, and then I put a picture of DFE's head on the piece. The couple things that I wanted to get to in regards to that was the last time RC had a PF. Well, first I was starting to say the TA team. He made a TA team tweet as well since we spoke last. I've long thought that those are kind of like actual TA posts, but I've also thought that they're signals possibly to Kitty. And here's in regards to his last PF profile picture change. That was October 25th, 2024 was the last time Ryan Cohen changed his profile picture. That was YOLO. So that was interesting. He changed it. It was black and white then. He changed it to color this time. So I'm paying attention to that. It also happened to be we started a 69% run after his last profile picture change. And I think the bottom came right after he changed his profile picture to Tetris. So that's another interesting thing. We also got, after each of his changes, we got 5,000s on the option chain. On the 20th, so the day after he changed his profile picture, we saw 5Ks getting sold. And then again, after his TA team post, the next day we saw 5Ks again. It was, I think, that original position that came in when I'm not saying they're connected, but maybe that got rolled is what it looks like. I was going through it with Swami. So just interesting things if you think these might be signals, especially if you go look at the TA team.
I mean, look, man, the other thing too, in terms of being a signal or communication, is we know that Ryan Cohen is not a traditional communicator, right? Like he's been doing some interviews recently, but we don't have big showy earnings calls. He doesn't do like these long form tweets or news releases like these other CEOs saying we have decided
not
we're
on
going to do
Twitter at
this with the
all.
company, etc.
Yeah.
Right? He has a great sense of humor, and he jokes around on X, post cryptic tweets. That's his whole vibe, right? But in terms of at a very base level, tinfoil or signal or whatever you want to call it, what this profile picture changes, very simply, sounds like he's just saying, hey, things are falling into place. And whether he literally means there's one more big piece coming or it's metaphoric, like, hey, pieces are falling into place perfectly and it's going to make us leaner and cleaner and grow. And, it's a pretty clear communication, in my opinion.
Hey, clear, but not clear at the same time. I like that because, it is all cryptic. The other thing I wanted to get to is, with the TA team posts, just something that I've been paying attention to is that a lot of those times, like if you go back and chart them, there was one right before Kitty posted, before Kitty did his filing for Chewy. We got one that seemed back in, I think, June 26, 2024, that seemed basically like RC was describing himself as the founder of Chewy and no college degree necessary, all stuff like that. And then the next day, Kitty filed for Chewy, but it wasn't public, and we didn't find out about it until another couple days. So it seemed like he was, I don't know, maybe communicating with him, not maybe saying to buy Chewy at all. I'm just saying that he's in the loop, and possibly there's just something going on there. There's been many other TA team post, like one about the option chain, not option chain, about options. I think he said chain in the email on April 15th, 2024 as well. That was about a week before we saw real 5Ks and Kitty jumping on the option chain. So I'm keeping an eye on things that seem to be coming after these TA team posts and profile picture changes. So interesting stuff happening out there. The end of the Tetris game, by the way, is a rocket ship blasting off. So just another moon to add to the list of moon things that we have gotten recently, the Lunar Packs, and I just was posting different moon men stuff that we've gotten recently. Okay, cool. Well, good tinfoil segment. I don't think, I'll go into announcements. We'll be real quick with this. I don't think we got anybody new on the server. So I will say that if someone is interested in joining the echo chamber, we're a community of GameStop bulls. 2 rules in that place is no bearish shit about GameStop and don't be a dick. I think if you feel like you can handle those 2 rules and you're a GameStop shareholder and a GameStop bull, give me a holler on X, shoot me a DM, we can talk. Yeah, let's see. I think
it's harder than it sounds to follow the rule number 2.
Well, it's the one about like not, shit, when times are tough and you got people in there.
It is like, it's just like we're all emotionally attached to the stock, and it is easy to bleed through.
Oh yeah, it's tough, but I feel like we've tried to balance it well. Sometimes it doesn't go so great. Magnificent boosted the server, I think again. I'm not sure, but thank you, Magnificent, for contributing to our emoji addiction. I love them. Our emojis are so good. If you're in the Discord, IB is IB35. You probably won't even hear this in time. I'm going to suggest he extends it, but he's doing a giveaway. He's doing a giveaway for his awesome PSA slab GameStop shares, personalized, that he makes. So react to the comment, and if you want to get entered, he's giving 10 of them away. I think that's pretty fucking cool.
Super cool. My wife and I both have those slabs. We ordered them from him when he was selling those a while back, and we got them in our display case. Yeah,
he's a cool dude. Again, IB's awesome. He's the inventor of the drinking game. We're running out of time. Drinking game. I think that's it.
Apologies to all the alcoholics out there.
Yeah. They look forward to the show just for that. We don't have. I don't think we had anyone in the going to the 30s or 40s. So yeah, no, nothing there. We got some people soon that are about to get into the 20s. Some of the newer folks. So that's always fun. That's my favorite time. Yeah. All right, Robot, you got anything before we get out of here?
Yeah, man. If we're truly in requel times, Paulie, you just said something about emotions and psychology. I think it's just important for us to remember. You guys know what dog training, hypnosis, and all successful advertising and marketing have in common?
What's that?
Is this system? It's
reinforcement.
The acronym is FATE. F is for focus, A is for authority, T is for tribe, and E is for emotion. It's what all successful ads on Instagram, on TV, wherever you are. It's what dog training. It's what hypnosis. All these things are built. All psyops. All psychological manipulation is built on this system. And cults use a version of it. It's called the acronym is FEAR. So it's the same focus, emotion. The A is for agitation, and the R is for repetition. That's how they break people. It's just you just be careful out there when you're scrolling, because there's not only a lot of bad actors, but there's a lot of bad information from good sources, like good industry sources, good FinTwit sources post wrong information because they're using AI.
Sorry, my bad. It's an accident.
Exactly. Just be careful out there.
Yeah, my bad. My finger slipped. Thank you, Robot.
And if you guys are interested in that stuff, check out this guy, Chase Hughes. He's a behavioral expert. He teaches this stuff. He taught spies for decades, and now his number one clients are trial lawyers, and he offers a 200% money back guarantee on his consulting services. He reads the jury and helps them make their closing arguments, and he never loses. So watch out there when you're scrolling. There's a lot of psyops. There's a lot of things that are planted as focus points, and then there's a lot of appeal to tribe and a lot of appeal to emotion, a lot of do what's right and do this and that and waiting for this amount or that amount and this happened. Just be careful out there.
Thank you. The fuck you Han caught Paulie off guard. I can see it. He was like, "What? Where'd that come from?" Anyway, Paulie, what do you got before we get out of here, bro?
As I look through the Cardsmiths cards that I opened today, one of the birthday gifts from my wife, one of the cool little base cards that I got was this hammer card number 92 in the Series 5
bear
card. Yeah, there's a guy wielding a big green hammer standing in front of a giant bear with red and green candles behind it. And
Thor's gonna fuck that bear up.
Right? Yeah. So just a reminder that the green hammer is a bullish reversal candlestick pattern. And if you pull up your monthly chart on GameStop, now, candlestick patterns are not a perfect indicator for future performance, but we got a nice long wick on our monthly chart for November.
Oh yeah, we did
for GameStop with a short body at the top. It did end green. It's just a beautiful looking hammer.
Yeah, it is. Good call.
Yeah, on the monthly chart. So if you're just looking for a little bit of optimism, don't have just blind faith in everything, but that is one thing to have a little bit of optimism from if you're just zooming out and looking at the monthly chart, in my opinion.
Sweet.
So, yeah, I like the look.
Well, you guys know, you guys know where else we can get a little bit of optimism is Michael Burry dropped a post while we were recording, and it's pretty much focused on overpaid executives.
Yeah, I saw
don't
that.
have any skin in the game.
Nice.
Yep.
Well,
And I'm paraphrasing a tweet from Swami who reported on this. So shout out to Swami.
yeah, I got some catching up to do. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, thank you.
Yeah, the post is called "Foundations: The Tragic Algebra of Stock-Based Compensation." First, the algebra.
What?
Yep.
Maybe he's talking
and it is behind his paywall, but I think the headline tells you quite a bit about what it's about. So,
well, I'll just add that right before we ran, RC replied to Plute about overpaid executives in November 2023. So,
yeah, it is a common theme of Ryan Cohen's, especially. So, I would say that there's a lot of just general evidence right now that there is broad confluence and alignment between Roaring Kitty, Ryan Cohen, and Michael Burry. So
let's
philosophically,
get the band. Let's get the band back together.
Yeah, I'm here to talk to you about the Avenger Initiative.
Yeah, there you go. Sweet.
Yeah,
All
lots of alignment across the board.
Yeah,
I'm ready for December. Fuck November. That was terrible.
My
October
body is
too.
ready.
All right, everyone. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for checking out the show. Thank you, Paulie. Thank you, Robot. Have a good one.
I think we end the day Monday, $25.
Okay. Monday, wait, what? Tomorrow?
I'll take it.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. Did you say that? All right.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll
take
see.
it.
I'll take that fucking shit too.
Yeah, I'll take it. I think the call I have for December 5th was $23. So
yeah, I got a couple of those. All right, cool. Thank you guys.
You think you're the only superhero in the world? Huh. I'm here to talk to you about the Avenger Initiative.
Some may say this might be your last farewell ride. Some may say this might be your last